All right. Christin Peeples is the founder and nonprofit executive director of bossupculture.org. She is a social entrepreneur, personal and business development consultant, and accomplished real estate professional who is the embodiment of her company's motto to shine relentlessly. Christin's desire to ensure safe and healthy work environments was due to her own experience within her corporate career, which fueled the creation of her successful 501c3 organization. Her efforts in this mission is bringing positive change to the workplace and prevention methods as the awareness of workplace abuse has grown since bossupculture.org's inception. In addition to addressing this epidemic, Christin's priority has been to offer much needed support and healing to targets experiencing this type of mistreatment, including fundraising for targets who can't afford quality mental health care. She's an advocate and visionary who is driven by providing solutions. Peeples has recently added to bossupculture.org's goods and services, the bossupculture.org YouTube channel, one-on-one coaching and online courses, workplace abuse prevention consultation for businesses, Boss Up Culture athletic wear and accessory line, while offering public speaking engagements. Christin is known globally and nationally for her efforts in making impactful change in working with legislators to provide necessary employee and employer protections that align with her organization's mission. Helping people has always been at the core of every aspect within her businesses, so it's no wonder why her 16-year real estate career continues to flourish with her ability to help transform the lives of others, helping people achieve their goals in every aspect of life. Peeples is a wife and mother of 3 with 2 fur babies who finds joy in the empowerment of others. She has been featured in various publications for her work and is dedicated to ensuring change for the greater good for years to come. Visit bossupculture.org for more information and getting involved with her initiatives. I'm so excited you could join me today, Christin.
Yay!
Thank you very, very much. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much for having me, Tegan.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I've been so excited to talk to you. I've been dying to know a little bit more about you, and I understand that you speak a whole lot about workplace bullying abuse. And so I'd like to know a little bit more about you and your organization and what you do.
Okay. Well, once again, I'm so happy to be here with you and your wonderful subscribers here today. Hello, hello, hello. And yes, I am an advocate for workplace bullying abuse targets to ensure that no one else is affected by it. I was an engineer for over 20 years. And thankfully, of course, I did my real estate training and my real estate on the side. So we'll get to that later on. But it's always a good thing. I always tell people to make sure that you have something to fall back on. So that's always important. But for me, I was in the career of in a corporate America environment. And unfortunately, in so many workplaces, workplace bullying abuse is tolerated or ignored, or the blind eye is turned towards it. And unfortunately, it's the employees that suffer. And I was one of them. And so the first 10 years of my career was great, Tegan. It was an absolute joy to go to work every day. I loved my coworkers. I loved my managers. Everything was great until it wasn't. Almost 10, 11 years down the line when I was transferred to another group, and it was a total nightmare from there. It was a total shock to me that in the 2000, the year 2000-ish, that I was, or well after that I was going through what I was going through with being cursed out and purposely mistreated and mobbed with human resources involved and blocked and blackballed and everything that you can imagine I experienced from an email. So I'm here to let people know with my organization, number one, is that they aren't alone. And number two, that I'm here to support them, and that I have been through just about everything. 10 years, you can only imagine the things that I went through. And I don't take that lightly. I wear that with a badge of honor now, that I'm and only for the reason to help other people, to let them know how to get to the other side, because so many people are dealing with it. So that is why I'm so passionate about my organization. And that's why I started it, because I want to be a beacon of hope for others.
I think it's wonderful what you're doing, Kristen. I think it's fantastic. As we've discussed previously, this is a huge issue.
Yes,
Would you say that this is worldwide in all sectors, fields, this issue?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it's especially prevalent, unfortunately, nurses. They're one of our first responders and they are affected actually the most. But it is a worldwide issue, and we just need everyone to get involved, all hands on deck. And the first start is awareness.
Okay, I'm so glad you mentioned that. So you said 10 years. So was your entire mobbing process, if you don't mind me asking, about a 10-year span? Because I have heard of instances of it happening that long.
Yes, yes. And
Wow.
unfortunately, some people are not able to pull through, if you will, if they don't have the right support.
Right. So this would then potentially lead to the target's suicide. Would that be fair to say?
That is correct, unfortunately. And we just did a world, well, a national, we brought a national awareness to Evan. He was a employee of a national chain, actually grocery store. He was a 19-year veteran, dairy manager, minding his own business. He just wanted to wear a mask to protect himself while he was during the heart of the pandemic, and that was a problem for his management, and that led to his unfortunate demise, and is so unfortunate. And we never want to see that happen again. And Evan is just one face. And when I've met with lawmakers here in Michigan to explain to them the seriousness of this, I've shown them the faces of nurses and other engineers. And, you know, and I was so glad that we were able to, it was unfortunate that Evan had to be the face, but I was glad that so many of us from so many different states around the United States were able to come together to make sure that we made some noise as to what happened to Evan.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad to hear that you tried to make something good come out of such a horrendous situation. I think I have a two-part question now that you've mentioned that, Kristen. I guess it would go into the legalities and the tolerance of it. So is this something that is being worked on, mobbing, to become illegal in the same way that, you know, stalking would be?
Yes, you are very correct in that assumption, because mobbing, it's obviously it's bullying on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, it's other members of management, and in my case, human resources, they decided to join the party in the mobbing for me. And that just makes the target feel helpless. When you have people of power, people in power that come together for the common good of targeting this one employee
Mm-hmm.
who feels like they're alone, they feel isolated, and they're, you know, like I said, you become you're blackballed, and there's nothing that you can do. So we want to make sure that there are protections in place for these employees to prevent that from happening. Meaning, the Dignity at Work Act is something that I meet with the National Workplace Bullying Coalition. We meet once a month. It's a national group. Many of us come together once a month, and we discuss the initiatives and how we're meeting with the lawmakers to ensure that they are aware of the Dignity at Work Act and why they need to support it. Because oftentimes, I think the message when we were first delivering it, they thought that we were trying to promote it just to protect the employees, which we are trying to protect the employees. But this is also a benefit to the employer as well. Because think about it. When workplace bullying and mobbing is tolerated, it, you know, you have high turnover rates, you have low morale, low productivity, high rates of disability leave, right? You have the risk of getting sued and the reputation and so much more. So this is a benefit to everyone. And that's why I urge people to speak to their state representative, to have them make sure that they explain those benefits to not just the employee, but the employer as well, to know that it's good for everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm so glad you just brought that up, actually. So in an organization, when you do see lots of things like staff turnover, absenteeism, lots of petty conflicts, people turning against each other, is the chance high that it's that type of environment?
You're dead on
Mm,
with that. Absolutely,
okay.
absolutely. And that is what a target can see. If they're looking for the signs, that is absolutely the sign. In fact, when I first entered into my job, I noticed the same thing that you just described.
Mhm.
And the first thing that's going to pop into your mind as an employee is, never me, that won't happen to me,
Mm.
until it does, or
Mhm.
one of your friends or coworkers.
Mhm. Mhm. And it's very real, and it begs the question to me, because this a group dynamic like that, once they would expel the scapegoat, they would have to then get another scapegoat. So people from the outside can clearly see that it's this toxic group dynamic. So why is this tolerated in your opinion, when it is so when it's such a liability?
I just think that there hasn't been any laws in place. And when there aren't laws in place, and just enough to make sure you don't cross the line, but you can still abuse this person, um,
Mm.
then why not? If it's not illegal, and this has always been this has been the culture, this is the way it's always been.
Mhm.
It's been working for us. Why not? If we can squeeze out the person that we think is a problem,
Mhm.
right? So oftentimes they look at the target as a potential whistleblower, and we are threats to them.
Okay, I was actually going to ask you about that, Kristen. That was my next question. Who Now, I was speaking with somebody the other day who believes, in their opinion, that the target tends to be a very moral, tends to be a bit more of a quieter person, and tends to be highly intelligent. So that would then fit the profile of a whistleblower. Would you agree with that assessment? I thought that was interesting.
I totally agree with that assessment.
Interesting. So that then would be the typical target to start wearing down, and to begin the expulsion process. Now, would you say once they're in the state, now once the target, the next one in line begins into the first stage of the mobbing, what do you recommend that targets do at that stage? Is it just a matter of time before they will be driven out and expelled? What should people do if they suspect that they're going to be entering this phase, or somebody they care about is entering into this phase of a mobbing?
So I first want to say that when you start recognizing those signs,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't take long, document.
Okay.
Document everything.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people, places, times, anything you can think of. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. A spiral notebook, you write down the day. If there's an email that supports this type of mistreatment or behavior that you're experiencing or witnessing, print that email up. If it is legal for you to record in your state or province or wherever you are, find out from an employment attorney what is legal
Mm-hmm.
for you to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because as long as you're a part of a conversation, in most states, you are not eavesdropping and it's not illegal, right? So you
Right.
want to have as many layers of protection as possible. The other thing I wanted to mention is that with the initial target that they want to drive out, it also there's a two-pronged play to that, because they want to make an example out of that target, right? And
Mm-hmm.
instill fear in the other employees to say, now you saw what happened to that person, this can happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't do the things that they did. Don't speak up at meetings. Don't carry yourself the way this person carried themselves. Don't even have any kind of dialogue with that person, because now, and that's what also feeds to the isolation, because you want that person to feel alone. So there are so many angles to this, Tegan, that it's maddening and it's sickening. And if you don't know the playbook, and I can tell you, like I said, I know every play just about in the playbook, you can get lost in it. But your number one defense is documentation every time.
I saw a video you did one time, Kristen, about how even your attempts to uh, get documentation were being sabotaged, such as lies, that you couldn't shadow email yourself and things of that nature. These folks will try anything, won't they?
My
I mean,
goodness,
that's
yes.
dirty trick.
Very dirty trick. And you can
Oh.
just imagine, I felt every emotion imaginable that day. Just walk with me down the hallway where that day where when I thought I was having a one-on-one meeting with my manager that I would have with him once a month. And I don't know how he was able or how he caught wind that I had been copying myself, but I was via email, and I was sending myself a blind copy. And I'll share the secret tip in a minute, but I was blind copying myself, and he could not find the conference room. He's looking all over. He's like, well, it must be here. It must be. Oh, there it is. And then he opens the door, and there's a gentleman and a lady sitting in there that I've never seen in my life. And as you recall in the video, I was saying that it was an IT investigator, which I didn't even know we had one of those in our company, and the HR representative, HR rep that I've never even met before. And all they wanted me to do was pull up my email address, my personal email address, and they told me what I was doing was wrong. Well, in fact, it was not in the handbook, because I said, can you show me in the handbook where it's saying that it's wrong? Oh, here's the link. They gave me a bogus link. When I got home and looked at the link, it said nothing of the sort about blind copying yourself at home to make sure that you're protecting yourself. But what I did was, and a secret tip is, I also blind copied my husband. And the way they threatened me was that I was stealing company secrets. That was their reasoning for speaking with me, was that I was giving away company secrets. And I wasn't. I was trying to protect myself. So don't let them fool you with that. If you need to blind copy someone else as well, if it's against the law, that's why I always tell people to print up your emails, because I asked them, I said, well, what is acceptable? They said, well, you can print the emails up.
Okay. I've heard of this too, Christin, and I don't know if you can speak on this, but employees being threatened if they are in a corporate environment, or if they are in a unionized environment, that if you hire a lawyer basically outside of these parameters, or you go to a human rights lawyer, you go to an employment lawyer, we can fire you because you didn't follow the protocol of first addressing it in A, B, C, D, and then going to your union, etc. Have you heard of tricks like that? And is that even true? Because from what I understand, that's a pile of, nonsense.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, and I'm very careful with offering legal advice.
Yes.
Because from every
Same.
state to every province, it's different.
Same.
So I suggest anyone that even if you even feel that you are being targeted for workplace bullying, abuse, or retaliated against, discriminated against for any reason, sexual harassment, if you have that inkling and and I always tell people to listen to your intuition, because your intuition will never lead you astray. That gut feeling that you have when you know that something isn't right, you have to listen to that. And that's what I was fighting against for so many years. So I suggest for people to use their common sense and to still reach out to an attorney. When you call to get information, you don't have to leave your name. You can call anonymously and just ask a hypothetical question. Hey, I'm calling on behalf of a friend. This is what's happening. Do I have a case? But I would suggest them, first of all, finding out what's legal and what's illegal, and whether or not that is BS, because it is BS. And of course, they tell you to follow the chain of command, and that's what I did. But I'll tell anyone this who is considering hiring an attorney, to make sure that you cover yourself in terms of following the chain of command.
Right.
But don't tell them too much, because what they want to do is they want to get all the information that they can from you, and then use it against you, or even take that information from you. Because I'll tell you, when I hired an investigator within the company, because we had a anonymous line that we could call. When the investigator sat down with me and the director of human resources, we all sat down together. She said, I can make copies of your documentation. I said, well, if you don't mind, I'd like to make the copies myself. So never let your documentation leave your site, is what I suggest. And also following the chain of command, just because it's the right thing to do, but also it's no harm in making a phone call. Right.
Thank you very much, Christin. I sincerely appreciate that. In terms of wellness, I know like you survived a mobbing, you're obviously thriving. It obviously has led to your greater purpose. And that's something I really want to emphasize with targets as well, is that this can be something that leads to your greater good. What do you have any advice for people? Like how did you get through it mentally, spiritually? What sort of advice do you have for people who are really dealing with this?
So my first piece of advice is to not resist the idea of seeking professional help. Psychiatrist or psychologist, is nothing wrong with speaking with someone, right? In fact, it may benefit you later on down the line. So my suggestion is to reach out, because mental health is so important. When your mind isn't functioning, the rest of you isn't functioning. And I found that out very, very quickly when everything else started to decline, from my self-esteem to my physical health. But it all started here. So that's number one, is to seek a mental health team, mental health coach. I even offer one-on-one coaching, but I suggest people also speak with a professional as well, because some people, the abuse could be so bad where you may need the assistance of medication and someone who can help you further. The other thing I suggest is getting out in nature. I'm big on going for walks every day. I'm big on yoga. I'm big on, as I look out the window, I'm looking at my garden right now. I've been big on just doing the things that make me feel good. I have decided that in my life, if I'm not doing something that benefits me, and not in a selfish way, but I've learned to put me first, because for so many years, I put that career first. And I want your listeners to understand that there's only one you, and we need you, and we need for you to be great. So what makes you great? What makes you great is surrounding yourself with people that support you and make you feel good about yourself, and things, treating yourself right. Again, like I said, yoga, meditation. And I was big on the first 30 days, I want to say, and this was huge for me, Tegan, was that I slept with headphones. Now, my son has since ordered me online it's like a sweatband with the headphones in it.
Oh,
cool. So it's more comfortable, right?
Wow.
And there are these programs, Dr. Bruce Lipton, oh my goodness, his name escapes me. I will think of his name as we're talking, but there are so many, Dr. Joe Dispenza, I knew it would come to me. These doctors, they're big on, when you fall asleep, listening, reprogramming your mind. And they have YouTube videos that you can play night after night that will actually reprogram your mind and your thinking. Because when you're being bullied for so long and torn down for so long, that is a new program that is going in your mind and your heart and your soul.
Yeah.
And just like we have to be responsible in what we put in our mouths, we have to be responsible for what we're allowing to come into our hearts and our minds and our soul. So I highly suggest, it would really, really help me the first 30 days, is listening to those positive affirmations overnight. And again, you can just Google Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, those guys. And there's a ton of other, affirmations that you can listen to while you sleep. And it will embed in your subconscious mind and just make you, it helps you. So, it helped me. And any way that I can help other people, essential oils, massages, people look at that as a luxury, but it actually helps release toxins from your body, right?
Absolutely.
Like incense, I have affirmation cards. I'm sitting right here in my dressing area, and this is, I call this this is where I film a lot of my videos at. And this is the place where I find peace and calm. So I suggest people find a place in their home where they can go to, right? Yeah. And look up at their affirmations, make it their special place that they can go to every day. So that's the secret. The secret is loving on yourself by doing good by you and setting up boundaries, healthy boundaries, not being mean or disrespectful, but having time to yourself and just self-love, self-care, that favorite bath oil, just treating yourself, because that's what we're here for. And when we treat ourselves well, we can treat others well, and it's a trickle down effect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love how at the beginning of your videos too, Christin, you clear the air with your sweetgrass. I love it. I feel better just like as soon as you do that. I'm like, oh, my air is clear too. It's fantastic.
What did I do, Tegan. As soon as I said, hold on, Tegan, let me light my incense. I have my sandalwood burning right now. It's just one of those things that ground me, you know?
I love it. It grounds everyone else too. So
Yes.
thank you very much for doing that, Christin. I just wanted to, before we tie off here, this has been such a fantastic conversation that I've had with you. I'm curious. Well, first I'd like to ask, because this is a bit of a controversial issue. When we're experiencing workplace bullying abuse, is it best to really not have friends at the workplace where we're dealing with this? Or do you have to have some more discernment and strategy about it? Or is the pool sort of tainted, if that makes any sense?
So I would say discernment and strategy, exactly what you said. Again, listen to your intuition. When I got to the point where I wasn't trusting anyone. So I still was the same person. I wasn't nasty. But I was guarded in my own sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one else knew that I was guarded. No one else knew what I was doing. And so I always tell people, move in silence. And the other thing I tell people, again, with the whole boundaries, healthy boundaries thing, same thing with your work environment. Don't let the salary, don't let the title, don't let the seniority, none of that. Because for me, I was making so much money. The title was there, the benefits were there, but I wasn't happy and I was suffering and my family and friends were suffering. Right. So I'll say all that to say, move in silence. People around you know that you're being mistreated. My coworkers knew that I was being mistreated, but I never shared with them. They would make comments. They'd say, you know, Christin, that wasn't right what was said to you in that meeting today. And I'd say, yeah, you're right. That wasn't. And I would go home and I would document it. Or I would print up that email. No one knew what I was doing. And in fact, when I went out on leave and never went back to work, and when I retired, no one knew. So that is my biggest advice. If I can give advice in terms of how to, move in silence, strategy in terms of the friendships that you have, but work friends are just that. They are your work friends.
Thank you, Christin. That's fantastic advice. And just to tie off here, what's new going forward with your organization, and where can people find you? Where's the best place to find you?
Oh my goodness, I'm everywhere. Well, you guys, I just joined TikTok. You know, my kids had to help me with that, right? Are you on TikTok, Tegan?
I'm not, but I saw that you were, and that's so awesome. Congratulations, that's great.
Yes. So make sure you guys follow me, Boss Up Org on TikTok. I am Boss Up Org on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe there. I give all kinds of tips and tricks in my stories. Bossupculture.org is my organization, where we have a whole resource page to help you with everything that I was looking for is right there on my website. I'm also glamgirl_Chris on Instagram, but all of my handles are on the website at www.bossupculture.org. And I look forward to seeing you there. And if you need help with anything, just know that you are not alone. I've been there, done that, and I'm here to help you. That is my life's mission at this point in my life. And I'm more than happy to help anyone who needs a hand.
Thank you so much, Christin, because you're fantastic at what you do. You're going to succeed. I have no doubt about it at all. And thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate it more than I can express to you. It was awesome.
This was so much fun.
It was great. Thank you so much, Christin.
Thank you.